Hello there and welcome to Talk Time. This is a brand new program that will be coming your way every Monday from 9 to 10 p.m. here on UBC TV. It is a program that will be looking at topical issues that affect you Ugandans, but not only Ugandans, but even those people who are living in Uganda. Good evening. My name is Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. And tonight we are looking at one of the topical issues that we normally look at as Ugandans, and this is city planning. Kampala City, our city, your city that you love so much. How is it planned? Is it a city that is to your liking? Is it a city that really meets international standards? So this is something that we are going to be discussing tonight here. And I'm very privileged to be joined by none other than Mrs. Ngabirano Amanda. Amanda is a lecturer of urban planning at Makerere University, but she'll be talking about herself shortly. Amanda, you're welcome.
Thank you, Edward.
Maybe for the benefit of the viewer, just tell us more about yourself.
I'm a professional urban planner. I studied urban planning. In fact, when I was joining university, it was my first and only choice. I didn't have any other choices filled in. I studied at Makerere University for the first degree, then the master's in the Netherlands and the UK, Saxion University and Greenwich combined. I'm also the African partner for a Dutch company called Move Mobility. We are working on a program called Excellent Cities, and I'm like the only African person on that on that committee. Also the vice president for World Cycling Alliance.
Wow.
It's a global initiative aimed at promoting cycling as part of city planning in the world.
Okay.
And every continent has a representative. I'm the one representing Africa on
Wow.
that.
Well, that's a very big portfolio as far as Ahmad is concerned. And of course, we are looking at city planning, and your line of expertise, of course, is to do with planning. Now, let's look at Kampala City.
Yes.
Who is responsible for planning our city?
The Urban Planning Authority for Kampala is KCCA, Kampala Capital City Authority.
And of course, KCCA, when you look at what is happening today, I mean, they've done some commendable job. I mean, roads are being constructed and others are in the pipeline. However, you find that there is always something that comes up as a problem. As far, with development of course, there are some other things that come along with it. And one thing that we notice in Kampala, for example, when it rains and probably you're driving or even walking around some roads, you find that rain brings all sorts of litter onto the road.
Yes.
Drainage channels, it's like they're non-existent because most of them are actually filled with Kavera, which actually government planned to ban, and we don't know what happened. We still use Kavera. So as a city planner, what do you think may be the problem here? Roads are being constructed, but drainage channels are not doing their work.
What happened to Kampala is a sign that we abandoned planning for a long time. Planning is such that it should never stop. It has to be continuous. That's why the developed world is also still busy with planning work. But asking what could be the problem for Kampala right now, I don't think anybody will point at the right answer. But what happened is that at some stage, at some point, someone responsible for planning of this city did not do anything, as so much was happening over space, as the population was increasing, as the intensity of activities increased, as people tried to build and have businesses within the city center of Kampala. And all that was happening unguided. So I think what we are seeing right now is as a result of a halt in the planning system, planning process at a certain point of the city planning. Talking about drainage issues, sanitation, garbage, it's because KCCA, I think, was overwhelmed. And they seem also to be trapped, like they are doing piecemeal planning, piece by piece. Road expansion here, no drainage is fixed drainage network is forgotten. The wetlands are occupied. People settled there. They constructed there. Someone left it to happen. And I find that really, really punishable. So right now, it's very difficult for KCCA to correct this, because it was supposed to be done at a certain stage in an integrated way. Drainage, road construction, land use development, all those things. So why you're seeing all this happening now? Traffic congestion, floods, just simple rain, and you can't move. Just that it is piecemeal planning.
Okay, and that
piece
is
by piece planning, which is very expensive, and you will never achieve the objective of city planning if you plan component by component, area by area, without having a bigger picture. So a city that really wants to operate in an efficient way has to integrate those bits and approach them as one whole. That's how a city should operate.
Okay, exactly. Those are very good points you raised there, and of course, planning piecemeal, that is not something that's good. And we believe, of course, that the authorities, KC authorities, know this. Now let's talk about something else, Amanda, and this is about the slums. Kampala, when you move out of the city, of our city, and you move to other countries, capital cities, there is a lot that really attracts one's attention, and you're like, have we reached the status that Kampala should be at, as far as being called a city is concerned? We've got slums. What, as a city planner, as an urban planner, what advice can you give to KCCA to make these slums at least attractive to the foreigner who comes to visit Kampala?
Of course, foreigners, I believe some are attracted to those slums just to take a look at them the way they are. But I think what you're asking is about organized space. Slums are informal establishments that people actually erect close to the city center for a reason. They want to cut down their transport costs, and they occupy those kind of low-lying areas, Every city is different. I have seen a big slum in Vancouver, by the way, really big slum. But you can't tell that it's a slum unless you have been told. There are high-rise buildings, there are flats, very crowded. There's some crime happening there. We have slums because, again, there was no land use plan that could direct and strictly encourage orderly development. People were their own bosses. We call it democracy over space. There was excessive democracy, freedom, individual freedoms to use
and people just
any
decided
piece
to build
of
wherever they
land
wanted.
in any way. The building can face anywhere. You can have a small path going to your house. You decide where your plot coverage should be, So people were left to be free. Wherever you see those slums, it's a sign of excessive freedom to do what you want. Those other cities you are talking about have codes, have plans, and they have strict enforcement and implementation. You will not even change the design of your veranda easily.
I think this is what they call zoning or
Exactly.
something. In a given area, you're supposed to construct certain buildings.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what you're seeing in Kampala is just a manifestation of freedom to develop your land how you want it. And that can never work for a city, because human beings by nature are individualistic. They want to do what they want. So that's why there are always systems, there are always laws and guiding them and forcing them and, fines, Without that, if you are relaxed, you will see those slums. So slums in Kampala, I think it's beyond KCCA. The government of Uganda has to be interested in addressing this problem.
But there are laws in place. Now, Amanda, let me give you an example of, for example, the floods that we always, experience in Kampala.
Yes.
Even that people have encroached wetlands and have constructed buildings there.
If you were to check, you will be surprised that
Shouldn't those people be, taken to book?
The law is that if the plan was approved, these people can be displaced, asked to move, and then they are not compensated. They are compensated because the plan was approved.
Mm-hmm.
But if they illegally developed that place, constructed in wetlands, then they are just supposed to be asked to leave.
Just they should be kicked out.
But I'm telling you, Edward, you'll be surprised to discover that these people have approvals. What are you going to do? How much money does the government of Uganda have for compensation?
We have seen structures being demolished as a
Yes.
result of that. You find that probably they have constructed in a road reserve,
Yes.
others in wetlands. But my question still comes to the authorities. I mean, you are an urban planner.
Yes.
Maybe you are even in charge of Kampala City, and then you approve a building to be constructed in a wetland in a road reserve.
You know what is happening now in Nairobi? Those planners are being arrested. They are being brought to book.
I think there is corruption there.
The ones that approved structures, for example, in road reserves, they are being demolished right now. Uhuru was very open about it. President Uhuru said, we are going to organize our space afresh. And that's a very strong message that shows you that the freedoms are no more. Corruption in terms of physical planning is no more. And we want an organized city. So the government of Uganda, one, has to show interest. It has to be at a national level, really. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that we can get partnerships to provide for decent housing for people in those slums, and we reorganize that space. It has to be a partnership between the people themselves, the slum dwellers, and the government of Uganda. And there can be a system of them owning those new houses, and they pay over a period of time. Mm-hmm. People in Europe, most of them don't own houses. They just sign, then they live in that house. It's like their house, and forever they are paying, but they are happy. Every month, some money is going somewhere. Your house is planned. You're in a planned neighborhood. And you don't have this thing of, I have my chapa of one small unit. I have, But all that requires a national level strategy. Then it requires a mindset. Will our people understand that they must leave wetlands, for example? They will not understand, yet it's about their lives. It's about their properties. When it rains and their areas flood, really you see them on screen.
And lives
dying,
have also been lost.
Children,
as a result.
yes,
yeah.
Children drowning. So the system is clogged right now. The city system of Kampala is clogged in all ways. Drainage, it is clogged. Traffic, clogged. Housing, scattered. People are driving everywhere, There is madness over space on land. And it's going to continue happening if we don't develop the other towns of Uganda. In fact, someone last week was joking, but I could see
the city should be shifted somewhere
I
else.
could see some sense. No, not that boring song of shifting to Nakasongola.
But don't you think it should happen?
You're shifting from a dirty house. Clean it up. Because even where you go to, if you don't have the right concepts, they will get dirty. So first, you clean this place. But also, as you clean this place, don't forget about the neighboring towns. Because who makes Kampala dirty?
We the dwellers.
We the dwellers. And we come from everywhere in this country.
And actually now you're talking, that one, I have a question, related to that. And of course, it's about, rural,
the
urban migration.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But there is also something else that today we notice. Yes, KCCA, and of course we salute Madame Jennifer Msisia and her team for all the developments that have taken place in the city. But much as we have these developments, there are still some, challenges that, Kampala as a city is facing, and KCCA as an authority. For example, we've got things to do with social challenges. We've got economic challenges. We've also got challenges related to infrastructure, and the biggest one at the moment, which you've talked about briefly, is about environmental degradation. As a planner, how would you advise KCCA to deal with this?
Now, that's the challenge of urban planning, our profession. We are so privileged that we belong to this profession, because we don't only deal with space and order, we go beyond that. We go into the social components, things like employment, things like equality, no matter the social status, no matter your age, economic aspects, environmental aspects, whereby you have to preserve the environment, the green, So this takes us back again to what we started with, the integration of planning. Because we are so much spread into different aspects of life, we affect the quality of lives in many ways by doing what we are doing in a certain way. Socially, when people are unable to get decent jobs, they end up being creative and start establishments for survival.
Yes.
For a city like Kampala, you end up having a surviving population but not thriving. There's a difference
between thriving and surviving.
So this surviving population makes the city vulnerable, because you don't know where they are going to establish their businesses soon. You don't know, you have no idea. They are just creative, and you don't think like them, and they are fast, because it's about survival. So that's how you're going to see kiosks emerging.
Mushrooming
everywhere. Everywhere in the road reserve, you're going to see people building in wetlands. The environment is affected. You're going to see rich people. Now, let us cross from the poor, the social aspect of poverty. Rich, private individuals attacking green public spaces, developing them, because they have this superiority complex, and the system kind of favors them. They are like untouchable over space, and the city seems to be desperate and hungry for the super glamour cities, like in Dubai, the skyscrapers.
Exactly.
So when they see an open space, they think maybe we need to have that open space covered with a shopping mall. And in urban planning, that open space is supposed to be preserved for its purpose,
and
for
we
its
do not
function.
have many green spaces in the city.
So the understanding of the profession has to be that broad. And because of that, the urban planner is expected, like for KCCA, is expected to have a strong sense of coordination, cooperation, and there shouldn't be any competition, whether political or whatever, or professional. But there should be cooperation, because if the environmental goal is not met, then it means the social aspect is also not doing well. It means that maybe people are dying, It means that the city cannot even generate sufficient income to run its system. So it all requires, everything is important. All those components are important. But you find places like Kampala and most of African cities, they concentrate on things like traffic congestion. How many people in Kampala drive cars?
Quite a big number.
It was,
I would imagine.
In 2012, a study was done, and it was established that 60% of daily trips in this city are done on foot. On foot. So that means that for all road expansions that we have, we also expect to have good public transport. You don't just provide for cars, you fix all the potholes all the time. What is going to happen is that everybody will think about being that car, because the system is kind of smooth, it's well facilitated, it's taken care of, But when you look at the public transport system, you are sitting in a taxi, some chicken up above you, fish behind at the back. We like fish, very nice, but not in the same seat with you. something like that. So this person in this taxi will dream about being in that car. So the city suffers from traffic congestion and keeps fixing just that, forgets about drainage, forgets about accidents, forgets about road safety. So if we start handling bit by bit right now, we are making a big mistake. So on the drawing board, we need all the key issues really being worked upon, and we need the partnership of the different sectors.
Exactly. And if you're just joining us, this is Talk Time. It is a show, brand new show, I should say, that will be coming your way every Monday from 9 to 10 p.m. here on UBC TV. And tonight we're talking about city planning, and with Amanda Ngabirano, who is a lecturer of urban planning at Makerere University, but she does so many other things. We'll take a short break, but we'll return with much more. Do stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, and you are watching Talk Time here on UBC TV with me, Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma, a show that will be coming and going every Monday evening from 9 to 10 p.m. here on UBC TV. And tonight we're looking at city planning, and with Amanda Ngabirano, who is a city planner and is a lecturer at Makerere University. And before we took that break, we're looking at the effects of the population that is in Kampala. But now, Amanda, rural-urban migration, what are the effects of rural-urban migration on the development or planning of a city? Specifically, we're talking about Kampala City.
Yeah, when there's an influx from the rural areas to urban areas, in most cases, the urban area is not ready for that influx, for that population in different ways. They cannot provide the services in that rapid manner. Then you'll find that the settlers will now do it themselves. Like, have you seen the cable network of the electricity cables crisscrossing all over? People have umeme, they pay bills, but that utility access provision, I think they did it themselves because it has to have an order. So the rural-urban migration puts cities in a difficult situation that they cannot cope with the speed of providing for those services.
Yes.
Two, the business tends to be more dense, and then it has an effect of attracting more people, and the city is put under pressure of managing things like garbage, like in those slums, to collect it and dispose of it. It becomes a challenge. So it's a problem in many ways, and the best way to reduce it or to prevent it is to seek a balance, a regional balance kind of growth. And cities worldwide, whichever continent, whichever country, they are seen as centers of hope. They give hope to people for jobs, for services, simple things like electricity, light. They give hope to businesses because they need a market. They give hope to governments because of the GDP. Cities provide a big percentage of government's GDP. So everybody is fighting for that city component. And now the best way is to ensure that you don't have one city, and you have kind of some standards to regulate what happens in each town. For instance, there are some general things that should happen in every town. There should be a migration office in every town, for example. There should be a police station in every. There should be an education department, lands registry, and every city should be self-sustaining. That you don't have to go to Kampala to see a shopping mall.
In other countries, actually, Amanda, you find that this pressure has been taken off their capital cities by developing these other towns outside their cities.
That's what is coming too. Now, for Kampala right now, the more we stop talking about what Kampala is now and instead go and develop other cities, the faster Kampala will get better. Because if you develop Gulu, you develop Hoima, you develop Mbale, you develop Soroti, you develop Arua, you develop Kisoro, you boost them in a way that you attract investors in those areas. Infrastructure is one of the key elements.
Yes.
The transport network, the services reaching there. Things like establishing where there is good agricultural land for massive production, packaging and export. Then you'll have people have some services there, and then they will not want to really come and stay here, but stay there where they are because everything is running. Rural-urban migration cannot be stopped easily, but if there is regional growth and balance, deliberate effort of redirecting investments. Now, when you build a shopping mall where there is no population, what kind of economic sense would that make? It wouldn't make any sense. So the population has to be there, but then it has to be able. It has to have the ability to actually use that shopping mall. You've seen that some of the shopping malls in Kampala are also empty. People have to have the cash, the disposable income. So it's a chain of systems, but it requires a direction and, again, like using force. Planning is about dictatorship. It's participatory. People should be involved, but the nature of our work, we are the real dictators of space. So we have to push this investor who wants to establish an industry in Namanvi. We say, this industry is going to attract a population of, let's say, 2,000 people. How will they come there? Is it going to bring traffic congestion? Is it going to pollute the air? Is it going to cause accidents? Is it going to damage the environment? Please, an industry now, go to Karamoja, go to Moroto. Then you stimulate growth in that area.
And actually, when you look at Uganda, these different regions,
yes,
I believe each region has a particular, like let's talk about the foods, the food crops that we grow.
Yes.
You find, like, for example, in Kisoro, there's a lot of Irish potatoes, and it's good that there is even a factory there now, to
yes,
make crisps. That is good. So even in Karamoja, you may find there's something that can be grown there, or something that can attract an investor
they say that
to
Karamoja
construct an
is
industry there.
dry, semi-arid. Right now, they are suffering with water. So it's about other systems like improved technology. We design spaces, but we need other supportive systems to make our work meaningful. So if Karamoja is an agricultural zone, an agricultural area, because the land there is still available for massive production, using all that equipment. So one could harvest that water during the rainy season. They have seasonal wetlands, for example, that could also be tapped into. And investors should be tasked to do this kind of thing. Go to Karamoja, tap into this water, do production and packaging, and employ the youth who are there. True, every region has an advantage. If you go to, for example, Fort Portal, Kasese, you realize that there's a lot of tourism that side.
Oh, yes.
So hospitality would be a good thing there if we boost it. And really, urban planning requires working together. I see all ministries, Ministry of Lands has to work together with Ministry of Water and Environment. They have to work with Ministry of Works and Transport, gender, because things like employment, it is something that is happening over space. Where is the market? Where is the production happening? That relationship has to work. Someone has to fix it. So rural-urban migration,
it really impacts it's in different ways. The development of it. Now,
it will be stopped if we approach development in that style.
Exactly.
Regional balance.
Yes. Now you talked about. First of all, if you look at what is happening in Kampala, today it might be the temperature is so high, beyond maybe 30 degrees centigrade. The next day it is very cold. And I believe this is as a result of what is happening, the impact that the the population is having on, the wetlands and all that. And we talked about green, a green city.
Yes.
And it brings me to the question, have we reached that level as Kampala City, a level that we can say, yes, this is an international city. It is a city that whoever will come to will be happy to live in?
No.
Are we there yet?
No. Right from the airport, I think after State House, the environment starts getting hostile. And if it's someone's first time, I usually see it in their eyes that they have some fear, and they keep getting their eyes bigger and bigger, and before they finish seeing this side, they have something else to see the other side, and it's all chaos. Some of them tell me, you are a good driver, how did you survive that? I said, no, I'm just a terrible driver, I'm part of the problem. Everybody has to find a way of
maneuvering around.
So it's really not yet to the standard, because we have left systems to operate uncontrolled, unregulated, uncoordinated, and so we have a lot of conflicts that you see over space. You see the housing differences. The other day in Buziga, I saw someone's structure with a nice balcony, but because the neighborhood is so bad, they are like shacks, this person has now put reeds, embingo. So the balcony has been covered. And that already shows you that this person has lost the sense of pride of staying there. So we are having a social challenge that our population is beginning to have, there's what we call the erosion of civic pride. That people are no longer proud of where they come from, and because of space where they live, and they don't care where they dump garbage, for example. When you see someone dropping a bottle
actually,
through the car,
I've seen
civic pride.
Exactly.
Because you are dirtying your own environment. Exactly. So something has eroded, and it's affecting space and how people should feel proud. So the international image, I don't see it that much. I see it in on a street level, some streets. If you go to Kololo, you will see something. But then, like Kololo, some places don't have even walkways. I don't understand how those colonialists used to ignore walkways. You go to some places like Nakasero Road. That looks nice. The green is good. But then you come down, you see that there are no open spaces. There are no squares. There's this beautiful square which I think if I was the one in charge, I would completely remove the cars and leave it open. It is the Cementi Square.
Yes.
Between the Acacia Mall, that square. If you map our city, there is no other square that we still have like that one. So if we cleared that place, removed the cars, put there something for families to play, children to come and have fun, no cars, no access in that square, you would see that area would appreciate and would give you a flash of that international city image that you have in mind. You begin seeing things like Rome, there's a place where you will not see cars at all. Then you'll see buses, big buses, then you see trams. So you start seeing the quality of public space going up. But this is one thing that many developing countries don't appreciate. They think it's luxurious to have such a space. And yes, it should be luxurious because it has a function, it plays to society. The social challenge of people being in different social classes, and the poor going to their own places downtown, the rich going to the malls, such squares bring all people together.
Actually, Amanda, talking about that, we've seen people travel from different countries going to Dubai.
Yes.
It's because of how that city has been planned. And I think if we had a much more organized city in Kampala here, yes, I think it would even generate revenue, we would have a for government, because city. Foreigners would come to just be here, yes, enjoy the greenery, and as a result they bring
First
foreign
of all,
currency.
when you stand somewhere strategic, you will admire the scape of this city. We have a beautiful scape. Nobody should talk about our hills. Kampala is hilly, you can't do trams, you can't do this. No way.
It's all about planning.
It's about planning. And when you look at our city, what you don't like in our city is what we did ourselves and messed the scape. But the nature of our city was 100% perfect. So we who made that mess, we are the same people again who have to correct that mess. And we is not only the urban planners, it's the people, the mindset, the politicians. We now have to put our heads together and get out of this mess and also avoid it elsewhere.
A quick one.
Yes.
There's a program that I've watched on National Discovery Channel. It's about driving in some of the worst cities in the world.
Yeah.
And we featured somehow.
Kampala.
Yes. Now, do you think flyovers can sort of help in easing this kind of thing? You know,
everybody is talking about flyovers. In fact,
as a planner, an urban planner, do you think it can help?
I've heard people saying they illustrate even. They say we want these roads which are like this. You know, you go to
or maybe
Dubai,
just because they see what is happening in other cities.
Go to Beijing and you see, but flyovers for Kampala's case, you know, to bring flyovers, I always say it's like forcing a crawling child to stand up or to walk, because or to tell a child that you are short. If anyone tells a child that they are short, they are not yet grown up. How can they are supposed to be that tall? You know. So the same applies to Kampala's traffic situation. Flyovers to address traffic congestion for Kampala. To me, it's like condemning it unfairly, because there is no other system of travel that is decent enough apart from the private car. So why don't we first use our space right now with the roads that we have and introduce public transport? 18-meter long buses, we introduce trams, and you have a tram line running from Nakawa coming up to the Constitutional Square. You have a big bus or a train going to the airport, and you will realize that you will not need that expense of flyovers. We don't need them yet.
Someone watching might say that that's very expensive and it's not doable in Kampala. Do you think it's doable?
It's doable, and have they got experts to do it and they have not found them? No, they should show the interest. You see, every city gets what it works for. Do we have a vision that we are chasing? Do we know what we want in the next 20 years? So if you limit your horizons, you will definitely have almost no output for your city. I see that cars have a lot of damage, the pollution, you know, it's so high. The parking challenges, you will never address them. And public transport is very, very, very efficient in terms of everything, space and energy consumption, all that. So it's about the government has to show interest in addressing this. And then flyovers, they are so expensive.
Someone said so. But
They're
Amanda,
so expensive.
as we come to the end of this show, you talked about something and we did not really tackle it. Probably you can talk about it. Non-motorized, transport in Kampala.
Yes.
KCC at one time talked about it.
Yeah.
But it was just talk.
Yeah. But I think it wasn't just talk.
What would be your saying as far as introducing that in the country is concerned? Do you think it would, for example, curb pollution, especially air pollution, because the Kampala City dwellers today, that's why you find people are suffering from different kinds of cancer because of the air that we breathe in is so polluted. Do you think non-motorized, mode of transport would solve this?
That's now an interesting one. You see, most distances that people cover in all cities are short, where people go and come from, and every day, like if you want to go for lunch from here, you are not going so far, and that's like a constant. Every day you have to eat lunch. So those daily trips are always short, and over time, cities discovered that non-motorized transport or active mobility is a huge advantage that they were not taking, they were not aware of. Non-motorized transport is walking and bicycle riding, mainly active mobility. There is no such a thing as introducing it. It has always been there. It was there before cars. People were walking before cars. So it is, and if you ask those people, they will tell you that they miss that kind of atmosphere of few cars in their environment.
Probably it's because of urbanization.
So this mode is very old, and urbanization should not hate this mode, should like it instead, so that some pressures are off.
I think it also has advantages.
Yeah.
Because if you walk, you're exercising.
Yes, it has numerous advantages, and they are obvious. There's health, and then you don't spend so much money. Because walking, you don't pay. You use that. People use like 40% of their earnings on transport costs. So what is left for upkeep? What is left for investments? So if you cut down on transport costs, you're going to have a population that is healthy because they are physically active, but also research has it that they visit doctors less. Active people visit doctors less. That means you pay less for insurance, for health, for visits at the hospital. But also it brings people together. When you're in that walkway, downtown or Kololo, you somehow feel you are leveled. No this big engine, no big tires, you are all having feet and legs. So it has a human impact that you feel you are one. Then, of course, the environment, air pollution, like you are saying. Kids are suffering from respiratory diseases, and transport emissions are number one worldwide for this pollution. So non-motorized transport for a city like Kampala, it is a must, because already the majority are moving that way. In Austin, Texas, in the US, 90% are driving cars. 90%. And they are trying to now plan for active mobility, encourage people, please, we now want bicycle lanes here, we want walkways here. But it's very difficult to get the 90% out, at least even to get 20%.
That's really huge.
Out. But see, for us, we have a huge resource. We have gold, because already about 70% are already moving this way. So if we plan for non-motorized transport now, safe facilities, we are going to maintain this 60 or 70%. Most likely, then we are going to attract others from their cars for some distances that they don't have to drive. I think people would love that. But the safety issues, you walk on a walkway, there's an open manhole, there's drainage open. You see kids going to school in the drainage channel, walking when they see cars. That kind of thing will not attract people to walking. They will find other solutions.
Exactly.
And that will actually kill the green city component that we are chasing.
And viewer, this is Talk Time, but we are almost coming to the end. Amanda, your final words in just 1 minute as far as city planning, especially Kampala City.
Especially Kampala City.
To have a good city.
I think the general public should know that there is a profession called city planning, urban planning, that dictates how land is used, and it's for their own benefit. So the public has to cooperate for their own benefit. When we tell them wetlands shouldn't be built on, please, it's for your own life, for your own property. So people, please, should cooperate. Then the other thing is that sectors should coordinate and work together, not competing. Competing should be competing to do the best together, but not against each sector. Then lastly, but most importantly, the government should know that if we don't invest in physical planning, we are going to misuse our land resource, which is fixed. We are going to incur costs in future of compensating people and redeveloping, reorganizing this space. And we are operating inefficiently. We are having leakages because of disorder in the system. So the government has to show interest that physical planning is a major component of our works. It's about social balancing, it's about employment, it's about business, it's about the image of the country. The respect we get when we are disorganized is different from what you get when you are organized.
Exactly.
So that the international image should be revamped, and the government has a very crucial role. Nobody is going to do it if the state is not interested.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And of course, talking about city planning, it is a topic that we can discuss until the cows come
Forever,
back
yeah.
home. So we'll, definitely some other time we shall get Amanda back here and we discuss more in as far as this topic is concerned. My name is Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma, and you've been watching Talk Time. It is a show that will be coming your way every Monday from 9 to 10 p.m. Thank you for watching. News at 10 is up next.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward.
Thank you.